So let's get it going here. Oh my gosh. What am I going to call this week? Oh man. Week 10, the bizarre pick six. And I'll get right into it right away. So, my pick six. Whew. Where do I start? Okay, I'm going to start. This is where I'm going to start. I need to start with this because it's going to lead into something. I'm going to start with the Lions and the Texans. The Lions currently are 8-1, 5-0 on the road. And they are, if I'm correct, they're 3-1 at home, which was the one loss to Tampa earlier this year, which I picked because the line was just completely outwhacked. You look at the stats. I mean, I don't even know. I watched the last 4.5, 5 minutes of this game, and it was absolutely just unreal. Like, the Texans had the game, and there was picks going back and forth. Jared Goff had a Jake Delhomme-like game with 5 interceptions. That last touchdown to Amon St. Brown, I did not think was going to happen. I thought he was going to throw another pick, I swear. Put them in a position, ended up tying the game. You know, they marched down the field. The way that they march down the field is how they've done all year. They completely disregarded the horrible first 3+ quarters of play and then turned around and got a field goal. I mean, Jake Bates, Texas native, came in and said, boom, dropped the 3 points, and the Lions are 8-1. I mean, when you hear somebody they go 15 for 30, 240, 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, you automatically are going to say they're going to lose. But then you look at the other side, you see the other guy, 19 for 33, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, was sacked 4 times. You would think he would lose. So somebody has to lose. You would think it's the 5 interceptions. Nope. It's the other guy with the 1 and 2. CJ Stroud. 26-23 is the final score. My takeaway from this is Detroit has been on this path for a long time of growth and adversity. You saw it 2 seasons ago. Let me remind you, when they played Green Bay in that elimination game where all Green Bay had to do was win. It was Aaron Rodgers' last game at home. It was his last game at home. Him and Randall Cobb. Devontae Adams had already been traded to the Raiders. And they completely just stunk the joint. Detroit came in there and absolutely just said, we have to go home, so are you. And Detroit was... if they didn't lose a couple of early games that year, they would have made the playoffs. Fast forward to the 2023-2024 season. They get to the NFC Championship against the 49ers. They had a lead, and they should have been in the Super Bowl. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. So they're just getting better, and that's how teams grow. And I just think the difference in this game was preparation. Detroit was prepared. Even when they were down, they saw that they still had a chance, and they found a way to win, and they won. The Texans, they're going to get better. They have the receivers. They have a young quarterback. This is his sophomore year. Jayden Daniels is going to go through it. Let's calm down with Jayden Daniels. He's going to be a phenomenal player in the league, but he's going to have these moments. He's not going to have them now, but they're coming. CJ Stroud's going to go through these. 6-4, 4-1 at home. They could still win that division. And I think they will win that division. So, the AFC South. So, they'll be all right. So, But Jared Goff, man, damn, Jake Delhomme-like performance and still won. Classic. Wow. Um, so let's get to the next one in the pick six bizarre week. Okay. I'm trying. Oh, gotta go with my Vikings versus Jacksonville. Another Jake Delhomme-like performance. Sam Darnold. Unbelievable. I don't know how they won that game. 3-1 on the road, 7-2 overall, 4-1 at home, / the one win in England versus the Jets. So they're 3-1 at home and 3-1 on the road, and they got the one away game in the UK that they won in England during the first weekend of October, if I'm correct. Sam Darnold, 24 for 38, 241, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Then you got Mac Jones, classic. He's another Jake Delhomme-like performance. 22 attempts, 111, 0-2. Mac Jones has never been that elite quarterback. And it just showed. I mean, I'll be honest. I watched the game on Red Zone, and Vikings were pushing the ball down the field. They were in the red zone 5 times and they were 0-4 for touchdowns. They could have easily blown this game. This is a game that they should have won. Yes, they won 12-7. I mean, Romo did what he had to do. JPR did his thing, got 4 field goals. Welcome to the squad. Welcome back to the squad. And all you could wish is him to continue to get greater and better. But Jacksonville, I don't know what to say about them, but let's just look at this. The 2 top teams in the NFC North yesterday had a combined 8 interceptions for only 2 touchdowns, and they both won their games against 2 AFC South teams. So what does that tell you about the South? And what does that tell you about the NFC North? When I look at the NFC North, and I look at the 2 coaches, 2 phenomenal coaches in Kevin O'Connell, and of course, I just forgot his name, Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell, 2 phenomenal coaches who are well confident in what they do, well prepared, and understand how to execute. They know how to prep their players for these moments, and they both walked out with wins. So that's unbelievable, man, that those 2 quarterbacks combined who looked like Jake Delhomme had 8 interceptions for only 2 touchdowns, and both walked out with wins. And to be honest with you, if those interceptions don't happen, they both walk out with convincing wins. So the next pick 6 is definitely going to be a classic one, because I have to talk about this. And I think it's, something that, how do I say this? I don't want to be too cold about it. In life, when you have somebody who is so talented, but their bad habits are beneficial to you, so you don't tell them, or you don't bother to correct them in fixing their bad habits, but they continue to win. They continue to be successful, and they continue to do what they need to do to win. And eventually, as they always say, the bad habits absolutely just turn against you. It absolutely happens. It never fails you when it comes to turning its ass back on you. And for this particular game that I'm about to talk about in pick 6 is that perfect example. The Jets versus the Cardinals. Now, Aaron Rodgers has been phenomenal. 3 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl, the Hail Mary King, phenomenal athleticism. His passes have been dazzling the league for the last 10 plus, maybe more than that. Is he almost 40? Almost 20 years. He has dazzled the league with not only his play on the field, but off the field. Now he looks absolutely just mediocre. He looks mediocre. Yesterday, he threw for 151 yards and threw no touchdowns, no interceptions. Kyler Murray was absolutely phenomenal. He had 266 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He ran for 2. His speed is ridiculous. If Kyler Murray could actually put his full energy and effort into this game, he's unstoppable. He's a perfect example of a talented player who needs to match his talent with his effort, and he'll be unstoppable. He'll be winning football games for a long time. Aaron Rodgers is a perfect example of benefited from being who he was, talented, had a lot of bad habits that none of his coaches addressed. None of them addressed his bad habits. None of them addressed his bad habits. And therefore, we get to the point where now the Aaron Rodgers that the New York Jets thought they have doesn't even exist. And now they're in this situation where they're like, oh shit, what do we got to do? Well, first and foremost, they got to draft a quarterback in the offseason. And that's a whole different conversation. But the Jets and the defense just looked completely lost. And I know these guys have busted their asses the last 3 or 4 years. That defense on paper looks phenomenal, but they're starting to run out of gas. When your offense can't help you, you're going to run out of gas. So at the end of this game, it was 31-6, and it could have been more and should have been more, to be honest. Like, it honestly should have been more. This score does not justify where this game should have been. So, but the bad habits have caught up with Aaron Rodgers, and it's a wrap. It is truly a wrap for him. I don't want to say it in a bad way, but it is. It's time that the Jets start looking at, I'm not saying tank the season, but start playing around with more options. But the problem is with the Jets, they got an owner who's an absolute, he's a piece of work. So that's a whole different conversation. So let me just get off them. Next order of business is Kansas City. They can't find ways to lose. They can only find ways to win. Another example of a team that finds ways to win because they're well prepared, even though Patrick Mahomes has been pedestrian-like all year. 1 touchdown he threw. He threw for 266, but he only threw 1 touchdown. And a lot of people say it attributes to a lot of stuff going on with him personally. You know, of course, 2 members of his family supporting Trump, and then his dad getting involved with being stopped by the police, his brother being a menace also. I'm just going to keep it real. He's surrounded by a lot of negativity. Now, you could say it's positivity, take it personal, but there's a lot of negative energy around him when it comes to his family. Just listening to what you see and what you hear, you see a lot of negativity going on. But what makes him a good and elite player, he finds ways to win. And then yesterday, the special teams with that block. Like, what is this? But yet, you know, the special teams did what they had to do, and they found a way to win, and that was it. But I don't know what to say. It was just unreal with that block. I was like, and I had to look at it again because I was watching Red Zone when it happened, but I was like, are you out of your mind? Like, did he really block that? Did he jump the line? He didn't jump the line. He absolutely made that happen. The next order of business, Baker Mayfield, they lost the game. They lost the game 23-20. Frisco just grinded it out. Jake Moody, after missing 3 field goals, came out and you know, hit the game winner, which was a relief for him. Um, you know, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield. Um, I don't know what to say about this guy. This guy is a term I use when I watch play like that. When I watch somebody play as tough as they are, I call it gladiator mode. He just does not have any excuse to not try to make a play. I mean, he threw for only 116 yards and then the one touchdown, but some of these throws that he had was just like, what are you doing? But yet he did it. And I don't know, Brock Purdy too. I mean, Brock Purdy was just very conventional, but it was enough. I mean, he threw for 353. You would have not, if you watched that game, you would have not thought he would have thrown for 353. But he did. It was like one of those games. It was very grindy, but it was just like Frisco came out with the win, but it was like Baker Mayfield, like this guy won't quit. It's just like against the KC, against KC on Monday. Same thing. This guy just finds a way to just grind. And if quarterbacks and players in sports could grind like that, I'm telling you, you could get the best out of this guy. Whoever that guy is, if they could grind like Baker Mayfield is always going to be on a team because he plays with such passion and grit. He's always going to be on the team, no matter what. He went to the Rams, I think it was 2 years ago when they picked him up off of waivers, and he had those 2 good games. Had no idea what the playbook looked like or was supposed to be. And this guy came out and went, boom. He had no idea what was in that playbook and came out and had a phenomenal game. So I don't know what to say. Baker Mayfield, man. Baker Mayfield. Now, I have 2 games that I want to pick between. And I've decided it's tough. These last 2, it was either one or the or. But I'm going to go with this one because I'm happy for this guy. Russell Wilson against Jaden Daniels, the future against a future Hall of Famer. Let's be real. Russell is a future Hall of Famer, and rightfully so. So Russell had a very pedestrian-like game. 195, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, made some plays on his legs. Jaden Daniels, 202, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He's still learning. He's still walking that tightrope. But I just feel like the Steelers, again, find ways to win. They got the coach. I don't care what anybody says about Mike Tomlin. He's one of the greatest coaches I've ever seen. I don't care. You call me biased because he's black. I don't care. He just has a way of convincing and letting his players know that I will not quit on you. Because I'll tell you right now, you watch Justin Fields throughout the year, the first couple games, okay, he's done. They're going to quit on him. Nope. They didn't quit on him. Now everybody's talking about the implications with the draft picks, with the Bears and all that, whatever. You just look at that team on the field with Russell, they look more engaged. But with Justin Fields, they look like they're ready to play also. But with Russell, there's just a little extra oomph with Russell. But Pittsburgh is in a very good shape. They got a young quarterback for the future who's going to be good. And they got Russell for the current time. So, and I mean, the Steelers in that division, it's going to be a rough path. It ain't going to be easy. And they play their first division game this weekend against, guess who? The Ravens. So it should be good. It should be good. They beat Washington 28-27. Jaden Daniels, he's going to get better. He's going to get good. He's going to get real, real good to the point where they're going to be like, okay, Terry McLaurin starting to look like the Terry McLaurin of old. I mean, it's amazing. But at the end of the day, it's just you know. Now the honorable mention, the other team I was thinking about you talking about was New Orleans and Atlanta. Um, the situation with the coaching situation with Dennis Allen getting fired, and Atlanta with Kirk Cousins doing what he does best. He did throw an interception, but also had another chance to win the game, which he didn't. But this is the NFL, and the NFL is full of these type of moments and situations. So it kind of shows you that each week is different. There's always something different happening. So, but yeah, but again, back to Detroit at the end, and how they won. Kansas City won, Minnesota winning, and then Sam Darnold and Jared Goff having absolutely horrible games and still winning. It just shows you what coaching is and what the minds of the players are too. So it's almost like that Rex Grossman game years ago against Arizona. He absolutely shit the bed, and Chicago still won the game. So the NFL has these moments, and that's what it is. But folks, that's another edition of Pick Six. Again, this was very bizarre, but again, it's the NFL. It's gonna happen. These things are gonna happen. Some crazy statistics. History was made with some of these wins from quarterbacks and teams that have no business of winning statistically, but they did. So, Unscripted 101, another edition of Pick Six. You know where it is. Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Just all you got to do is type in either Unscripted 101, Beat Fact Music, or the Pod Show by Beat Fact Music, and the rest is history. Not hard to find, not hard to listen, and it's easy to enjoy. This is a podcast for all of you. So for those that are listening to this or have been listening, big respect and thank you. Keep listening. It's all about the grit. It's all about the effort. It's all about doing what's great, and So I'm done talking. I think I've kind of like exhausted myself for today, but that's another edition of Pick Six by Unscripted 101 by Beat Fact Music. Blah 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 blah. Let me stop blah blah blah, folks. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good night, good day. Peace.